All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So last week was supposed to be a winning week, right? But I messed up my psychology, and it pretty much was a break-even week, which I'm not happy about, and I'm going to be explaining exactly why, right? But in this video, I am going to be doing a month. I'm going to be doing a P&L for the month on Telegram. Let's see how we perform this month, and we'll now do a trade recap of how last week went to see exactly what happened last week, right? So coming over to my screen right here, bro. Let's start with a monthly recap. So if I come over to the Telegram channel, you can clearly see this. This was February 1st. So I first dropped the YouTube setup, and pretty much let me just explain what is going on here. So I dropped three trades idea, or pretty much four trade ideas, and then we took one trade which was on Euro GPP, right? So Euro GPP was the trade we entered, and it was pretty much in profit. And the other three trade ideas I dropped pretty much went to the direction, right? Only two gave us the opportunity, but we did not actually take any of these three trades. We only took Euro GPP. So pretty much Euro GBP, the final result of that is that after few pips to take profit, it actually reversed all the way back to stop us out, right? So we actually started the month negative, right? We actually started the month negative, and I think this thing that happened right here was pretty much what happened to me this new week. So stick with me here, because Euro GBP, I had a deja vu about this trade, and that's what made me lose focus on my psychology this week. So that was the first week, and that was how the week started, right? So we actually started the month in a loss. So the next week I called other trades I was looking to take, and pretty much we entered GPP USD and we entered USD JPY. So the period in time when I was entering this trade, I was actually filming this video right here, which was a day in the life of a forex trader, right? So I actually documented this trade too as well on YouTube, right? So pretty much the end result of this trade is that GBP USD actually ended up hitting stop loss, and USD JPY hit take profit. So we started the month negative on the first trade and the second trade, which was these two. And if I'm risking 2% per trade, it means I've lost 4% so far. And on USD JPY, I actually made 4%. So that is keeping me at break even on the second week, which is not profitable if you ask me, right? But the month has not ended, it pretty much just started, right? So the third week, we were looking at other trade setups, and this is the one we actually took. It was Euro AUD, right? So Euro AUD pretty much came to stop loss, almost 2 pips to stop loss before reversing. So I actually made a video about this one too as well. This video right here is a psychological game. So the end result about this trade is we actually hit take profit, right? We actually hit final take profit. So I'll show you before we go. So this is the trade right here. We eventually hit take profit after very close calls twice, right? So now it's keeping me at 4% in profit for this month, right? So now the last week, right? The last week is NZD So let me show you where the trade is. All right, so NZD this was now this is pretty much this last week that passed, right? So I was looking for a buy right here. As you can clearly see, I was waiting for a break retest and I engulf in here to buy. And we got the entry, of which I told you guys when I was in on this trade. And price came pretty much to take profit and pretty much started reversing, right? So that was the deja vu thing. So I will show you a screenshot of when I exited the trade. It was pretty much using volume to come back to my entry, and that's why I told you guys I was closing. Now this statement right here simply means I'm breaking my rules, right? On a normal day, if I enter the market, I am not supposed to close the trade. I'm supposed to wait for TP or SL, right? So that's where I fumbled, and I think it's because of that first week where I had deja vu on Euro. Let me see the trade again. On this trade, right, where I was pretty much close to take profit, and then it started using volume to come back into around my entry. So, I mean, I broke my rules. That's just pretty much the entire story right here. And right now, it doesn't mean one trade can affect your psychology. What am I even saying, sir? So coming to my chart right here, let me show you the trade on NZDJPY. So NZDJPY, if I come over to the 1 hour time frame, this right here is the trade, right? So it was using volume, as you can see, almost to take profit, and it started using volume to come back to area of interest, right? And now it's pretty much almost at CP again. Now that simply means that I am not supposed to be um that simply means I am supposed to just be waiting for take profit to get hit or stop loss to get hit. Me exiting this trade just simply means I broke my rules, and that is not a good sign, right? Now that is why we don't have final result on NZDJPY, right, just yet, because we have not actually hit the take profit. But if I did not exit this trade and he finally gets to take profit, that will simply means that I was supposed to be up 8% this month, right? But I just ended up 4% this month. So I mean, to me, 4% is not bad, because if you come over to Dane Trades, if you come over to this guy right here, Dane Trades, he used to take signals from all these big forex traders to see how they perform in a month. So you can go watch it and kind of do the comparison by yourself. But the only difference is that I'm actually risking 2% per trade. So that technically means I'm still up. Like if I'm risking 1%, it means I'm probably up like just 2% this month. So that was just it. So trade recap of this week. Let me explain what happened, right? So this was the first pair I called right here, and pretty much you know the entire story, where we are shy of one pips to final take profit, right? And I probably should have not exited this trade. I should have not exited this trade. Now, as soon as I exited this trade, I was messed up because I am not supposed to be breaking my rules, right? So I felt like as I exited this trade and I broke my rules, if I was looking for a new trade setup, it's almost like it's very guarantee for me to actually lose, because it's a thing in the markets where if I break my rules and I'm trying to make it back, I just lose more. So um I decided to avoid the market the entire week. But this was what would have happened. So we had out of the pairs, it's like 7 pairs I called last week. Out of the 7 pairs, we had about 3 opportunities. I think the second opportunity was in AED USD. So this trade pretty much, we are waiting for a break and retest here to buy. As you can see, we had the retest to buy, and this trade is pretty much at 1:1, right? Pretty much consolidating all this while. Then another trade I happened to call, which was right here. We are waiting for a break and it reaches back into this area for us to buy, right? So right here we had a break and it reaches for us to buy, but the stop loss will be way too far. So right here we had a new break, a retracement, and an engulfing for us to buy. So I would have called this trade, but I did not call this trade, and I didn't take this trade too as well, right? So I wanted to call it, but because of my psychology was already messed up, and I don't want to force any trade, knowing fully well I just broke um my trading rule on NZDJPY. So I decided not to call that trade and just sit it out for this week, so that I can come back next week with a clean mindset, right? So that would simply mean that if I took every single trade this month, I would have been way up this month. But I just took few trades this month, right? So I took about 5 trades this month. So that's pretty much it, guys. Let's analyze next week and see how the markets are going to play out, and then I'll let you guys know exactly what the new game plan is. So that's pretty much it, guys.